Today is the alumni panel for Artward Bound. I believe our first ever alumni panel. And I will be introducing some of the alumni now. I will be introducing Jenna Musto, Jahari Ortega, Juan Nelson, Gabrielle Moreno. Just tell me if I said those wrong. So first off, Jenna Musto went to Snowden International High School and joined AB in 2017 and graduated in 2019. They're currently studying illustration at MassArt. Jahari Ortega started Artward Bound in 2011 and graduated from Boston Arts Academy in 2017. She recently graduated from MassArt, where she majored in interrelated media and sculpture and is currently enrolled in North Bennett Street School, working on a second bachelor's degree. Juan Nelson is an Artward Bound alumni who started back in 2013 and graduated from 2018. He's currently in his sophomore year of college at MassArt studying illustration. Gabriella Moreno joined Artward Bound in the summer of 2017 and graduated from Boston Latin Academy in 2021. She was awarded the Artward Bound scholarship and is currently in her foundation year at MassArt. So let's all just give a warm welcome to the alumni, and we're going to kick it off with Jenna.
Hi, I am Jenna, and I am a junior in illustration and started where you are at the moment. Here is some of my artwork during Artward Bound. I think my favorite one of these pieces is that chiseled one, that stamp that I did during Adam's class. But I don't like any of these pieces anymore, sadly. Things change. But my work now consists of, if you go to the next slide, here's some of my work now. I do a lot of smoke because I like the graphics of it, and I do a lot of illustrations and portraits and capturing fantasy a lot of the time. This is some of the work I've done in my previous classes. My first time doing a GIF before, so animation is a possibility now. And handling Photoshop and Illustrator and all the other programs. May I go to the next slide? This is my technical illustration class. This helped me with so many things like point of view and perspective. This class was taught by John Roman. He's a wonderful teacher, I do say. So he was always nice. So if you ever get to MassArt, hopefully he still teaches and you'll learn from him. He taught us 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. This was like an imaginary studio type of thing I was working on. If you ever zoom in, I'm that person that likes putting in random bits of detail so you can kind of like take your time with the piece instead of it being like a quick 1-2. I always add enough detail in the smallest parts. The next one. This is a class I'm taking this semester. It's narrative illustration, kind of making storyboards and illustrating like time and process, and I'm not really good at that, so that's why I'm taking this class. And this was my first homework, and I think it kind of came across well, but we're getting places. So just know that things will work out, and yeah. Thank you. I forgot about this slide. Okay, this is one of my other projects. This was my 7 Deadly Sins project, and it was last semester, and I made a series of work, 7 of them, and they had to incorporate 3 similarities. And so I had the same color palette. I had them all in bottles, and lastly, I did them all mermaids. And I tried to portray the mermaid as the sin, and I used some of my family members in them, but I enjoyed this project a lot because it gave me a lot of flexibility with the movement, and it gave me a challenge of confining enough information in a certain area. And yeah, I hope you like this one. This was one of my favorite projects. I must still work on it. I'm not done. I feel like I can always work on my projects, so I gotta finish up the background, and hopefully you can get more pictures in the future on my Instagram.
Hi guys, it's nice to see everybody again. I'm glad to be here, really happy to be here. So I graduated last year. I'm in my second semester at Mass Art now. I plan to major in art therapy. I might do art education. So this was my work during AAB and right before graduation, right before school. So one of the classes I'm taking this year is called Studio Foundation for Drawing. And I'm going to be honest with you, my first semester really just reminded me of our intensive summer courses at Artward Bound. And I reference Artward Bound a lot. Unfortunately, every time I say Mass Art, sometimes I say AB instead, and it's kind of really bad. But like when it came back to taking me back to the fundamentals, I think it was really exciting because I haven't done it in like so long. I probably did this like my first freshman summer at Artward Bound. But getting back into it, we had like live models. There was a lot of cool like assignments given to us, and there was a lot of flexibility on how we wanted to do it. So on the right is my cousin. We were just supposed to use two complementary colors, and I chose the orange and blue and played around with it. For the most part, it's just putting a lot of effort into work. These pieces took me a while to complete. They're pretty big. My professor, his name is Keith Washington. He's so cool. He would not let us do anything small. So these were at least 36 by 28 or 28 by 18. I'm not sure, but they're pretty big. Form study. This was really, really out of my comfort zone simply because I don't think of myself as a sculptor. My teacher, who was Miss Loretta, she was my instructor for this class, which is really cool because she was one of my instructors for my freshman or sophomore year at Artward Bound. So I got to see her again, and she knew me very well. Hold on, I'm sorry. And by the end of it, I ended up, just working with what I got, bought a bunch of random materials and put them together and created something. And I think that was the beauty of the class. Miss Loretta even said that I could become a sculptor, but that's not in the plan. Yeah, the one on the right is a project series on evil eyes. And the one on the left is a project that is supposed to affect a site, like a location. So this is a location in Mass Art. So visual language is again, like I feel like this is like Artward Bound Plus because I went over again Photoshop, and last time I did that was with Liam in his class. And these are projects done on digital media. And so on the one on the left, I say what was the funnest one. My professor assigned us to take 100 pictures. Her name is Amber, by the way. She's the best. She made us take 100 pictures of anything. So I took the train to East Boston, took pictures of all cultural stuff and bodegas and murals, and I put them all together. It really helped me a lot with getting comfortable with using computers and using Photoshop. And last but not least, this is my final project for last semester for Keith's class. It was a really large scale. It was like split into 4 each. And it was supposed to be like from afar, it looks like me. But if you like zoom in, it's like made up of squiggly lines. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. What's up, guys? My name is Quan, for those of you who don't know me. So yeah, I've been in Artbound for a long time, actually, for a very long time. And these are like the stuff that I was working on, like the the one with the color green vest. That was like my first project ever at AB. So as you can see, I've come a long way because I couldn't draw before now. So yeah. Next slide, please. So I didn't put this in my bio, but I'm currently on my second degree now because I have my associate's degree from Bunker Hill. So this is all like my work I did from Bunker Hill. So this is stuff that I've worked on in the past. I think like my favorite piece is the middle one because I was really like in tune with like the sneaker design. Like you can't zoom in now, but if you ever zoom in, like if I ever show you the piece, like I was like really intricate with the detailing, the sewing, like of the sneakers itself and the color scheme and everything. Like there's a whole story behind it that I'll gladly explain at a later time. The last one on this one is a collaboration piece between me and like one of my closest friends I've known since childhood. So these were, the first two were my finals from Bunker Hill. They were self-portraits. The middle one was a representation of how I often feel whenever I'm stressed out. I feel like there's nothing in my brain. So like, it always feels nice to just clear my mind. So I made this piece to represent like just clearing my mind of all the things that just fill my brain up with useless space. The third one was from last semester. It was my first digital class, and I think it went really well. These four were also from last semester. They were from my media techniques class. I was really struggling understanding like the basic fundamentals because I'm not a painter, so it took a long time for me to grasp. But I think I really got the understanding and the fundamentals of gouache because these are all gouache. And I think my favorite one is the black and white one because originally it wasn't supposed to be black and white. It was just something to experiment with, and it wasn't even supposed to be something good. I just did it, and it turned out fantastic. I just like the facial expressions the most for that one. Yes. These two are also finals from Bunker Hill. I the last one, I stayed up until like 4 a.m. finishing it because it was due the next day, and I was just exhausted, and it was just, there was a specific pattern and method I was supposed to do. And I said, I'm not going to do that method because it doesn't work for me. So I did it a different way and I got an A+ for it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jahari, and I just graduated Mass Art last spring from Interrelated Media, and I had a minor in sculpture. I chose these 3 images of myself because I think they are some of the ones that I have that best represent like a few of my elements. So the first one is of me outdoors in the courtyard, and that's of me doing foundry work. We were doing iron pour. The one in the middle is a selfie I took with an art piece at the High Museum in Atlanta, Georgia. I've done a lot of arts administration and museum work when I was at Mass Art. And then the last one is me doing aerial silks for the first time in SIM, which is Interrelated Media. And that's just to represent my movement practice, which I'll talk about a little later. So Kwan said that he's been on Artward Bound for a long time, but I got him beat by a couple years. I started in 2011. I was a part of the first group of Artward Bound students, so I kind of was able to break the rules a little bit because I started when I was in middle school, so I was there for quite some time. I came from a dance background, but was still very interested in art when I was in middle school, and I was super interested in like 3D. When I was an Artward Bound student, there's some of my medals work, and then that's a picture of me, embarrassing, from an architecture class that we had at Artward Bound. And of course, like all of you, we had to take certain classes, and I was introduced to figure drawing and like still lifes and things like that. So that was when I began to experiment with those things as well. And going into college, because I loved that jewelry class so much, I thought I was going to major in jewelry, but my foundation year, I took an elective, a performance class, and I fell in love with SIM, and so then I changed my mind. So Sim is, I like to describe it as concept before media. So, a lot of people do a lot of different things in sim, and I wanted to taste all of it. But a lot of my work was performance-based, and a lot of it also was helping out with events that were happening. So these images are kind of just random ones that I picked. The one on the far right of me, that's just a picture of me modeling in the Mass Art fashion show. I was super into events and was really excited to support my peers with this, and was just interested in being involved in the opportunities on campus. The two sculptural pieces are large-scale sculptures that I did in the foundry. So the hand is actually made out of bronze, and it's the size of my actual hand. And then the necklace that's on the top is actually 4 feet long. So it's pretty big, and that's made out of steel. And then the image of me and a bunch of musicians is a travel course that I did to Cuba with Chandra, actually, and a few others, but super fun. A lot of things that you have as an opportunity at Mass Art, and definitely took advantage of those, as well as cross-registration and Pro Arts Consortium, cool stuff. As I've mentioned, I was very involved on campus, and one of the things I did was organize with my peers the Black Artists Union, which is an affinity group at Mass Art. I did that, and I also took advantage of work study at Mass Art, and I worked in a lot of different offices, such as the JET office and CACP as well. And I took internships. The mural project was by the MFA, and I worked on that over one summer. And I think a few of you might have seen the piece that Helena did of me in the MFA, and that's one example of just being a part of your community and being in contact with artists when an opportunity comes up. And that's the third time that I was able to collaborate with an artist at a museum like that. So there are cool things for you as Mass Art and even our bound students to participate in the community. And I'd definitely say take advantage of them. And lastly, what I'm up to now. So as mentioned, I returned to jewelry and am now enrolled in North Bennett Street School for Jewelry Making and Repair. I'm also working for Artward Bound part-time as the Alumni Associate, Alumni Engagement Coordinator. And fun fact, I am an Afro-Flow Yoga apprentice. So I do yoga and African dance on the side. So that's a little bit about me. Nice seeing you all.
Do you have any questions or any comments, concerns about any of what was just said, introduced? I know the lighting's not good in here, but
I forgot her name. I'm sorry. The one who was at Mass Art since 2011. I want to know how was it like the beginning? How was AB like in the beginning since 2011?
It was different. I mean, y'all got the hookup. Like, it was new. There was a lot of things. The campus looked different. There was a basketball court. The DMC wasn't there. Like, but the first group of people, we were all middle school, early high school age. Our bound was new, so it was kind of experimental, right? So we had access to the campus just like you do, but minus COVID. And it was definitely like a family vibe, we were pretty close knit as a group. There were a lot of like community bonding opportunities. But the art making and everything was pretty much the same. We had access to like Saturday studios and creative vacations, which happens like during the summer and like, spring break. Yeah, I guess the only thing that's different for me, I guess I would say, is that early on in a program, people are still figuring things out. So networking and opportunities that you all have now might have not been the case that early on. But it was still fun. It was still pretty cool.
So Tiffany is asking, what made you choose Merfolk for the Seven Deadly Sins project?
My teacher made us do, let me grab this. 100 things that you love to draw, and you had to list out 100 things that you like to draw, and one of the things I listed was mermaid, because I was doing fairies and I was doing a few other things, but I felt like mermaid stuck, and especially trying to characterize them, I thought it was a good idea. Why not? Because like once you start listing out things, then you just think of things coming out your butt, because it's like, okay, I still got 40 more to go, and I don't know what else I like to draw. Like, what do you like to draw? You like to draw all these things, but do you really like drawing them? So I did a lot of like sea creatures in my past, like during Artward Bound, I did a lot of sea creatures. One of my finals was an underwater piece with acrylic and 2 large paintings I did with Steven. And I just familiarize myself with like how the form works, because when you're doing illustrations, you got to research a lot of things. And so if you ask me a question about something, I'm gonna probably give you a random answer to it. I kid you not. There's probably something in the head because I've researched it before. And once you really indulge your research, especially with form, I remember a lot of the actual body structures and the muscles and how everything moves, because when you learn that, once you understand how that works, everything kind of falls into place. So like drawing out characteristics and people moving, it's just a lot simpler. You understand where the body folds. Like we have collarbone, so it's always going to indent there, and our muscle comes out here, so you're always going to have a little bit of a lump. And if you understand that from 160 degrees, you're good. You're Gucci. I don't know what else to answer, but yeah. And during my presentation, the first part, that was my art, and those were like the first times I did digital work, and it wasn't the best, I kid you not. But now I've gotten a larger grasp on like Photoshop, and I'm a person that likes to take my actual drawings from my sketchbook, scan them in, and use that and work from that, because you're not like copying someone else's work. It's still your own work. So never be afraid of doing things like that. So tweaking up some of your final projects, adding a few different colors to it, that's never a bad thing. It just gives you a different output. It's still your work.
What a great answer, Jenna. Cham has another question for you about the process of making the GIF and what that was like. What program did you use? What difficulties did you have?
Okay, that's a good one. Chase. Shush. Okay. I used Photoshop on that one, and I've made another GIF before during my sophomore year with I can't remember his name. I think his name was Josh. Really nice person. There is a timeline under your window setting in Photoshop up above, and if you click on that, there's 2 different ways you can make a little GIF or any type of animation. You can still use Adobe Animate, but this is just to like add a little bit of a pizzazz to your little drawings before you put it as your profile picture on anything, you know? And once you do that, you can add an onion skin to it and you can draw each frame. Or I learned that you can just add movements as like a little sidebar. And if you have a block and if you added a movement, you can move this block over here, add the time to it, and so it'll just do that for you. And it made animating a whole lot easier, especially if you're trying to get really cool effects like shimmering or like a searchlight, because I did some game design in like a semester or two ago, fundamentals of game design. And so we had to figure out how to use GIFs and incorporate that into Unity and making video games. Very difficult. If you think about that, you got to realize all the code that goes to it. So just, it's a whole different language.
Thank you, Jenna. I have a question for Gabby. Gabby, do you want to talk about freshman year a little bit and how that's been different from Artward Bound, or maybe different from what you expected? Maybe things you wish that you knew going in.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Artward Bound really was a bit more challenging than my freshman year here at MassArt, especially because I already went into, college assuming it's going to be a bit more difficult, a bit more, you're on your own, but through that skills that I learned in Artward Bound of how to balance, how to multitask and also handle the stress of, school and Artward Bound. Once I got to college, it was just college. That's it for me. And that was the only thing on my agenda. I had more time. I had the skills to critique, the skills to participate, whether that was in front of the class or with my peers and the kids in the class. I came into, college with a lot of social skills, and I think it's important. A lot of teachers, like to see that, because in a classroom, it's so helpful to see and hear feedback or receiving. Or you'll get a big head if someone's like, oh my God, your work is mad good. And I'm like, thank you. I worked hard. I think the one thing I wish I knew was how much work I'd have to put into homework. Because I'm the type of person that will wait the last minute or calculate, all right, this is going to take me an hour. It does not take you an hour. It takes you exactly the amount of time you have of the class, depending on the assignment. However, once you get into the rhythm of it, it gets really easy. And I think, again, Artward Bound definitely prepared me for MassArt.
That's great. Thank you so much. I have a question for Kwan. Kwan, do you want to talk about going between Bunker Hill and MassArt and what that process was like, and maybe why you chose to do that?
Yes. So the reason why I had done that was because my GPA wasn't at the point where I wanted it to be. So I had to go to Bunker Hill. So the original plan was I was going to go there, do a couple of credits, and then transfer. But I was like, you know what? I had a conversation with one of my professors there, and she was like, get as much as you can and take it all in as you can and just enjoy it. Because one degree is nice, but having multiple is also really nice as well. So I took the extra time and just stuck through it and just got that extra degree that I needed. And it was worth it. My GPA was booming. I had that nice sparkling degree just hung up on the wall. And then when I went to MassArt, it was easy peasy because my GPA was up there. And now my art skills are also matching my GPA. So it was a nice experience to have. I made a lot of friends, a lot of bonds with teachers that I'm never going to forget. And overall, it was a nice experience because it was a school for not just people of color. So it was nice to be in a room where I can say, I can relate to you. Because then coming to MassArt, it's not the same thing. So it's just it's a nice, a nice little break before you go into the real thing.
We have a question from Kai for Jenna. How did you develop your art style, and what created this said art style?
Wow, this one is a hard one because my art started terribly. Okay, everyone's art doesn't start perfect. As an artist, I've learned that the skill that we have on paper is not the skill that we have. We are born with creativity, and the skills that we have is something that we develop over time. And so if you look at your art now and you don't like it, never think, oh, this is as good as I'm going to get. No, it's not, because it looked better than yesterday, didn't it? And you just got to keep pushing yourself. And so that's what I did. I was always admiring other people's works, and I kind of looked at it. I'm like, I think I can kind of do something a little bit like that, but with a twist, you know, I can incorporate that with some of my work. I can do that my own way. It's not technically stealing someone else's, because that's what art is. Over time, we just learn from another. I'm not stealing, I'm learning. I'm putting it into my arsenal for later. I gotta, like, my first year of mass art was hard. Okay. I had Compass on my side after Artward Bound. That helped me understand the system of when you gotta register for your classes, and they kind of walked you through it. And especially during those history classes, they gave you all the helping hands you need. But also during that first year, you go through all these other classes, like the foundation classes, you learning form and shading, something that you're already doing now. So you look at you're already a head step off of all these other people. And so now I took that and I researched more form and study, and I took that and I smushed it together and I made my own style. Something that is like, I still don't like my work personally. I don't think we ever do. And I'm thankful that you guys do. I have a terrible fear of posting my work all the time. So you never see me post a lot, but do it, God damn it. Because when you do, you can always look back at it and be like, hey, I'm better now. And that's what I've done. Like, my work from that piece, I like it. It's good, but I know I could draw something better. And it just took me a while. I collided somewhat realism with a little bit of style, like giving a little bit more line variation or a little bit more shadow from a different place. And once you learn all these things, life becomes easier. And you don't have to jump into color just yet, because I never really did, but understanding the bare minimum of grayscale will get you a long way in illustration. I kid you not. And also, never dwell on the thumb, like on one thumbnail. Do a whole bunch of them, because once you find that good thumbnail, that one that you really like, after the first 10 or 15 you did, you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna work on this. Now you're dedicated, okay? You're gonna continue working on it until it kind of gets all your style in there and you kind of prove yourself, and you're like, okay, I think I did good. I'm happy you didn't settle with the other 3, because I knew it would come out just as right. I don't know if I really answered that question. I'm sorry. I got a little bit of ADHD and I got off of one thing to another. But just always remember that when you're drawing and making everything that you do, all your drawings will never look the same. And you might want them to, but they won't. And once you do find that style that you kind of enjoy and you stick with it, you're going to change it up. You're going to do something a little bit different, because you're going to get tired of it. And that's what people do. We get tired of one thing and we move on to another. And lastly, just bare minimum, going into art school and colliding work and hobby and all that into one became hard. Because then you're thinking, I'm drawing for a living instead of for fun. And then you don't feel like you're enjoying it anymore. And it's like it's a chore. And I don't want you to feel like it's a chore. That's the hard part. So if you can honestly separate that in some way, maybe have a second hobby, something different to do, so it doesn't feel like you're dreading yourself over a sketchbook to just try to push out work. Take a break, please. It's okay. Maybe watch a little something, get the juices flowing. And when you do artwork and you look back at it the next day and you can see you can make changes, don't be afraid to not change it. Okay? just go back into it because it's still your work. Don't be like, oh, it's perfect, I'm gonna ruin it. I don't have my same creative juices as I did yesterday. You're fine. You're fine. Just go in with the eraser. You know you wanted to change your nose or your eye. Just do it. And if it comes out a little bit different, it's okay. You could have took a picture before and take a picture after. You still got both pictures. Okay? I'm done. I'm sorry.
Jenna, you're such a good speaker.
Jahari, this is from Kai. Kai is in middle school, starting in middle school, as did you. So they're wondering like what that experience was like starting in AB, because now you're done with college. Now, well, not done with college. You've been through the Mass Art Artward Bound experience and continued. So what was it like starting in middle school where most people start in high school?
For me, it wasn't too bad. I feel like it's a bonus because you get more time. And you can see people like do things like graduate a year before you or 2 years before you. And yeah, it's more time. For me, it's weird to say like, oh yeah, I was in Outward Bound for like, I don't even know how many years. Like 5 years, 6 years. More than that. 6 years, yeah, 6 years. And I got to kind of to Jenna's point, like you do a lot of growing, right? And, you know, every once in a while you're like, oh, wow, like this person's in high school, maybe they have more experience. And me coming from a dance background and a lot of people who grew up drawing, I was like, I am not where I should be. That's what I was saying in my head. But in all reality, I had more time to handle business, do what I had to do, and ultimately get to a point where I was more confident in my work. And with more time, you know, you have more time to get to know people, more time to network. That's what I did. So transitioning from Artward Bound to Mass Art, like people get to know you. And, you know, the longer you're there, the more comfortable you are, the more comfortable people are with you, the more familiar you are to the community itself. And so in my opinion, it's a bonus.
Looking back, what do you wish you had known as you transition to college, whether it's academic, social, financial, relationship wise, or anything like that? So it's for everyone. So
for myself in particular, I feel like I just like at a certain point, I was like really rushing to get my grades improved because they weren't where I wanted them to be, and college was around the corner. And it just took too long because I was just procrastinating on the work I was doing. And I was serious about my education, but not as serious as I am now. And that really like staggered my improvement with my grades. So as a result, it was hard for me to get into really good colleges. So like one thing I wish I had known is like, just take it seriously from the jump and you won't have no problems. But the minute you start slacking, it becomes a habit that you can't break, and it becomes a cycle that you can't break. And as a result, you end up struggling a lot more than other people. And then it hits harder for you when like, you see your friends doing great in school and getting into all these colleges, but you're not doing the same thing because you didn't do what you need to do. If there's any opportunities for you to take it, because it's beneficial for anybody. It's helpful for you and it's helpful for your family, because the better grades mean more scholarship money for you and less work for your family to put it out for. Because listen, y'all, college is expensive. And grades are really easy to attain if you put the effort in, and that money's right there for you. So that's all I gotta say about that.
I think I'll go next then. I think one thing I wish I tried a bit more hard on and I shouldn't have taken for granted is definitely probably like essay tutoring from Outward Bound, because literally like your first class in my semester is like the first thing they assign you is a whole essay, and it's like due the next week, and you're just like, Oh man. So I kind of struggle with that a little bit simply because my first semester was a lot of foundation, more hands-on rather than writing. But then the second semester, I'm taking a bit more history courses and things like that. And it's expected a lot more reading to do, a lot more essay writing. And I wish I like practice more before I got into college. That way I can bang them out faster. But it's a little hard. However, I do have friends that I can reach out to and ask for help and things like that. So it's not as bad, but definitely not taking for granted the tutoring Artward Bound gives you, because I did not take any of the tutoring except for push history courses, but that's because it's hard.
I can go so Jenna can bring it back. But yeah, so what do I wish I would have known? Well, I mean, first of all, the biggest thing I feel like is keep track of what you do. I did a lot in Artward Bound as an Artward Bound student. I started TAing youth programs and shadowing in CACP as an Artward Bound student. Taking advantage of those things earlier on. And I didn't know better. I didn't know that those are things that I should be keeping track of, in terms of building a resume, building a CV early. And then continuing that in college. Every little panel that you might be on, every article that might have your name in it, every job, every art show, even Artward Bound art shows, keep track of that. Keep track of the titles and the dates, because that's stuff that you've accomplished. And not only would it be good in the future in terms of Kwan's talking about scholarships and internships and jobs and even college applications, but for yourself, for me, to actually, it took until quarantine for me to slow down and actually realize I've done a lot. So that's another thing that I wish, looking back, I'm grateful for my college experience, but I was hustling, I was going. And I don't regret any of it. But balance is important. Self-care is important. And like Jenna was saying earlier, school, work, your personal art practice, everything gets blurred, especially when you're going on full force, straight from Artward Bound, super confident, I'm in this to win this. The momentum is great, but at some point it's good to remind yourself, take a minute, maybe take an extra long nap, make sure you're eating, and be proud of yourself for your accomplishments, right? Even if it's a gallery show once a semester, that is something. You've made work that is done and it's up in a gallery show. That's something that you should keep track of. So those are two things that I'm just big deal. I wish I would have remembered or thought of.
I like how when everyone talked, we all had a different topic to talk about. Gab talked about studying, Kwan talked about getting his credits. You're talking about being social. I'm going to talk about being unsocial because I'm an introvert. And I, during high school, made barely any friends or don't keep friendships because I don't have enough time or I don't think it's worth the time. And you should keep relationships because during college, you're going to be oh, I'm going to make friends during college. Are you? Because now you're too afraid to join people that already have friend groups since high school. And now you're just the outcast. Okay. I talked to 2 people for the last 4 years. So you get lonely. Don't do that. Okay. Talk to people. Because once I started talking to people, I realized that more doors opened up and I should have sooner. I need to open up to more people about what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, because then it gets into their head, be like, oh, I know this person's out working on, fantasy stuff. And I heard that my friend's just releasing a book about fantasy stuff. Maybe you can, and now you made a small contract, you're making money. But I don't do that enough. I don't put myself out there or talk to people. And even in high school, I was by myself. And as an artist, you tend to do that a lot. You tend to stay in your own little bubble because that's where you're comfortable at. That's where you feel like yourself. And that's good and all. That's great. Maybe you should put on a mask or something and go outside and pretend to be happy for a little bit just to talk to people. And it's hard. You got to do it. This is a challenge that you got to set yourself a goal with every day, or at least to me it is. Because Jahari is a social butterfly. She's doing all the things you should do. And I'm over here like I don't do enough. I don't talk enough to people. And I sound like a great speaker and all because I talk to myself a lot. And that sounds crazy. And I don't want you guys to start sounding crazy. Like, I wish I kindled the relationships I did in AB and in high school and just with people and teachers, because I realize I have more happy moments when I'm around people. But when you start doing your work and you start kind of isolating yourself from the world, it kind of dwells you down. And I feel like a lot of artists are depressed, and I understand that. So you could always come to me if you feel too depressed, because I can sympathize with you and explain to you that it's not the end. But I will ask you for help in talking to other people for me, of course, because that is too anxiety for me. So communicate with people, please. It will make your life so much easier if you gain that skill at a younger age and you're comfortable doing that with people. It won't be as difficult as it is now because it just gets worse. Yeah, that's about it.
I just want to say really quickly, I'm an extroverted introvert. I hustle, so I'm good in classroom environments. But like I said in the chat, it's hard to keep up with your social life sometimes. And now me and Elliot are going to go grab tea. So thanks for the reminder.
Real quick, what's it called? I wanted to touch base on something that's also very important. And it's just like advocating for yourself. It gets worse when you're in college because no one's there to tell you like, yo, you got to go do this. Like from my personal experience at Bunker Hill, if I didn't advocate for myself, I wouldn't have passed my classes. I have specific classes where teachers did not really care as much to teach me. They'd be like, yo, you want to learn how to do something? Here's a YouTube tutorial. I'm not teaching you. Teach yourself. And it's like, it's not helpful for me. So I had to tell them, it was like, yo, I need you to step up and do your job and teach me. And it was a lot of arguing and fighting. And it's like, you can't allow the person to mess with your education because you're not willing to say something about it. You got to do it for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Another thing, if you're unsure about the class that you're picking or the teachers that you're having, there's a website where you can literally look up the professors and see like how they are. It's called Rate My Professor. It's a very useful website because it's a website that I use before I pick classes, because you don't know what kind of teacher you're going to have, the mindset that they have, or their teaching patterns. And if you're not prepared for that, their entire pattern will throw you off and you'll feel like you're spiraling. And then you're like, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to respond to this. Find a teacher that you're comfortable with and you can understand and you can comprehend what they're teaching, and someone that's willing to give you the steps needed to help you pass, because not everyone's going to be there for you. Some people are only there for themselves or their paychecks. So you gotta get yourself together before you get somebody else together.
Hi, just a quick thing, just in case there are new students. I'm Xingling, and I'm Outward Bound College prep specialist, but also community engagement associate. Something I really want to share, because I'm already graduate from mass art for like a year or two. Something I really miss about mass art, like advice I would give out, is seeking help. Like, it's really important knowing that, because when, like, our band, we're checking on you. We know like something going wrong with you, and then we'll go check on you. But when you get into colleges, there's probably, you need to do everything by yourself. And then it's totally great to seek out for help. Like, you knowing if you have a problem with academic, go to academic center. Problem with your finance, go to financial center. Like, knowing what office you should go when you get to college really help. Something, if you have a problem with the professor, communicate with them. It's just, you need to step out and speak out, and then figure out what resource can help you solving the problem, because that's really important. And also, having fun in a college. Take as many fun elective as you want, because once you step out of college, once you graduate, you don't have all the resources. I really miss foundry, miss jewelry studio, all the clay studio. Like, you don't get once you graduate, because you need to pay for all the studio fees. So enjoy your time at college and get as much resources you can out of the college, and also always ask help for friends or professor, anyone you can ask for. They were willing to help. That's why I love Compass so much. They helped me go through all the registration and picking classes early. So that's something I love that I have, and I missed it.
One last question before we let everyone run away. This one's for Jahari from Chandra. What is Compass? Can you explain what Compass is?
I can do my best, but I'll speak to my experience, and then anybody, if I'm missing something, just jump in. So Compass where is that? So Compass is a pathways program at Mass Arts. So it's for students. Who's it for? It's for our past students and more. Yes, it's for us. And there will be some non-Outward Bound students in the group as well. But a lot of the Compass students are coming from like underrepresented communities, and like who need some extra support. First generation college students. There we go. Filling in the blanks, teamwork. And it's like a support team. Like, it's literally a group of people, at least your first year, you meet with once a week, you get to know them. And everything's there, everything's organized. You have access to, everyone has access to academic resource center and counseling and wellness and tutoring and financial aid, and all these resources are on campus. But when you're a Compass student, they kind of come to you, and it's amazing. There's also some help in terms of resources. There's stipends every semester for the bookstore. So I know that somebody said earlier, as an Outward Bound student, you're getting all this free resources, and like transitioning, that pocket is gonna. So Compass is also there to support us as we transition into college. And
it was like all my professors were in Compass, ironically. I had Keith Washington, Loretta, and sorry it's loud, and Amber. And like Amber was so big on connecting each other. She would like find spaces where she can bring food and have us come in person because it was online. Whenever we went there, she would give us a $45 stipend for, well, the program would give us, depending on how much they make. It's literally college level Outward Bound. And honestly, it's such a big help and an advantage as well, because they'll let you register a bit earlier than the regular students, and they'll help you figure everything out.
Yeah, and just, I agree. That's a great way to put it. And like to Kwan's point also, like in terms of advocating for yourself, Like, and if you need something and you don't know where to go or where to start, like Compass has always been like that starting point. It's like, hey, like I have this issue, I need to handle it, whether it's about professors, about finances. Like you start with Compass and they point you in the right direction. It's been great.
I just want to say thank you, alumni, for being with us tonight. Thank you for dropping knowledge. You always bring your heart, your artistry, your craft. Your craft game is tight. And just the love that you bring to this community. Just want to hold up that this is our 10-year celebration. And as part of it, we really want to celebrate you because we've never been here before, to have a strong group of alumni who are now in the college making moves. This was always the dream of Artward Bound. And now more than ever, we can create a space where our high school students and our alumni college students can come together. And a lot of that work is going to be led by our sage Artward Bound alumni, Jahari Ortega in the house, who's been in Artward Bound 20 years, who will be the main person connecting. And so, and Jahari has been helping me keep it real. She's really been an advocate for keeping it fun, keeping it what y'all need it to be. So please reach out to Jahari if you've got ideas for gatherings, alumni dinners, cool things that you think, look, we need to be doing this right now. Or just soft, lightweight ways where we can amplify your work or create spaces that are meaningful. She's going to be rocking that whole effort over the course of this next year. And always just know that you got my heart and I am here for you. You got my cell, reach out, and also know that we're back on campus. So starting on Friday, we're going to be back to our regular schedule. So Artward Bound will be in the effect on campus on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We'll be remote Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you want to drop by, hang out with us, play video games, play pool, or just talk or connect, or post up and have a quiet place to do your work, or show us what you're doing, or do a workshop. Like, we're totally open to what that looks like, because you're always part of the family. But also thank you for making the time. I learned a lot today. I'm sure other folks learned a lot too. And I just want to say, I hope we can continue this journey and walk this walk together.